I just did. We don't have to include in the class. Okay, let me do this over again. So I'm going to sketch this in, and actually, because this is on non-shiny paper, I can do this with a red that you can really see. So we're going to start no grid, working with mountains. We're going to simplify. So I'm going to suggest not dealing with these guys back here, just these peaks up here and here. There we go. That will be a good beginning. So what you can see I'm doing is just adding in the major outlines of dark and light outlines of the mountains. So here, let me take a picture of that. And then here, I'm going to pull it down for a second, and then I will sketch it with you. You're going to want to sketch with pencil, although at some point I might have you guys start sketching with your paintbrush. So perhaps when we get to oil, here we go. So you should be able to see that pretty well. I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to put this up here. Let's see if I can position this so we can see both better. Come on. There we go. Most of both. So for the meantime, we'll do pencil. Pencil can be covered up fairly easily. Okay. So I'm just going to start here. Here, wait. There you go. Start on this side. This isn't quite flat, so it won't look quite. You may want to look at your oh, and I think it needs to come down a little bit. So notice, I want you to really notice this. I make a lot of mistakes when I start out, and I'm the teacher. So I want you to notice how easy that is to make things go up too high. As we concentrate on them, we tend to make them bigger. Notice that this is really part of the process. The point of the process is not to get to the point where you do everything perfectly. And this is why I do not practice these beforehand. I've never done this picture. I just pulled it up about, I don't know, a couple of hours before class. The point is to see process. So I want you to get, so if you can get nothing else out of class, if you can understand that mistakes are part of the process, that is really awesome. So I'm just kind of moving back and forth. Kind of comes down like this. And note that when you start a painting or a drawing like this, what's really nice is it's easy to correct. So the point is not, oh, I got it all right, perfect on my first go. It's, oh, I'm doing a process. What I have faith in is the process that I know that if I mess it up, I can go back and fix it fairly easy. So doing these outlines helps me do that. Okay, so this is the front range. I'm skipping this. So I'm skipping these two. We're skipping this rock. We don't need this. We're simplifying here. We don't need this rock in the front. We may want, yes, we're going to want this dark. I'm sketching in a few extra details. So as we're working on this mountain down here, because it's in front, I might want a little bit more detail. So this is the white area. Now I'm getting this kind of medium dark shape, and then this kind of gritty gray thing that kind of looks like an arrow. It's funny to think of the shapes that everything is. I'm not trying to get all the detail in here, but this is kind of a dark blotch. Here's another dark blotch. There's a kind of light blotch here. So this is like light. So this is separating out my lights, my mediums, and my darks. I'm doing that here because this peak is closest to us, so it has the most detail. Back here, I'm only going to be doing a little bit of light dark separation. There is, of course, this light dark separation. And then there's kind of this rocky area, which is a little bit more medium. And then this kind of little white points on the top. And we're not dealing, well, do we want to deal with? There's a little bit of light medium down here. And I'm going fast. You don't have to go this fast. I'm just going fast so I can get through it and then look at your stuff. So don't expect that you have to go this fast. I'm just wanting to show you what to expect. I think we're just going to get rid of this whole thing altogether just to make it easier. So this will just be kind of a dark blue. I don't think we want to even do the back mountains here. I mean, for those of you who want to, you're welcome to. Notice how I'm sort of tweaking my shapes. This is the light part. Can anybody tell what direction the sun is coming from?
On the left.
Yes, how can you tell?
Because the right is dark.
Yes.
And the left is very bright.
Very bright. So these plane changes are really distinct. Plane changes meaning the darks are lights. The dark and light, the shifts in sides, like a cube. Okay. We need anything here? It's kind of a light area up in here. I'm not going to get into too much detail. I think that looks good. I don't think we need much more than that. I'm skipping these and this. You guys don't have to. Obviously, we're returning to black and white. Oh, I can see a big mistake I made. This needs to come out much further. This needs to be much wider. See that? Look at how I did that. But look at also how I corrected it. So easy to correct at this phase. There we go. Better. So here's my original line. Here's where I ended up putting it. Sometimes you have to step back to look at things. I really find it's tough to focus. Here, and I'm going to take a picture of this. Here is my sketch. And here is my sketch next to, step back here, see if I can get them both. Here's my sketch next to my source. There we go. Yeah, so take a minute to get there. It's funny, it's easy to get kind of overwhelmed with all the detail that's here. You're not going to have to do that much, which is nice. Give me just a second. Okay. What you working on today, Jessica?
Oh, just another landscape.
Nice.
Just a quick one. Finished today.
Nice.
It's like relaxation painting.
Landscapes for you. I'm
no,
getting
just
there.
like not
just
too much problem solving.
Got it.
Just something straightforward.
Sandra, I have a very funny picture to send you guys.
Oh,
I'm going to
cool.
send it across. Here it is. I think we're making progress. Here we go. Here they are. Can you see that they're both in the same closet?
You see?
Aww,
I sent it across the thread.
Perfect. And they seem fairly,
that's cute.
she's watching him, but they seem fairly relaxed.
Well, they are getting there. He is definitely mellowing out. It seems to be happening more and more by the day now. Like he definitely has his sides, but I know. Emma, these guys have had a terrible time getting along. So I'm like totally stoked that they were actually able to be in the same room without killing each other.
Are they new or is one of them new?
One of them
Yeah,
is
the
new.
kitchen.
So the one on the right is 14. She's been with me a long time. And the one on the left is a kitten. And he
Okay.
is as crazy as that. Like that look on his face. But
I just adopted a cat as well.
oh, let's see a picture. Let's see. Oh, what a doll. He's a gray guy or girl.
Yeah, she's like half gray and half tortoise shell.
She's
Oh,
pretty.
gorgeous.
What a gorgeous, unusual.
Yeah.
Oh, look, is she doing that right now?
No, that was while I was working. I put a little basket next to my desk because she's very clingy.
How
Oh.
old is she?
They think she's around 2. They're not totally sure though.
Good for you.
And you don't know what kind of life she had?
She was a street cat in Brooklyn,
Wow.
but she's so nice and so well behaved. It's kind of shocking.
So she's very
She-
happy to live with a human.
You know, some of them get into, like Muko was like that. Some of them get into the, like being in the outdoors, but others of them are like, yeah, don't want this.
But New York is a bit cold for cats.
Yeah. Oh, what a
She just
doll.
looked up here. She wanted to see what was going on.
Oh, we'll see her. Cats like art. They totally do.
She's such a lap cat.
Well, congratulations. She's lovely.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Her name's Spinelli.
Oh,
But you chose it or she had that name already?
No, I chose it. It's my favorite character from Recess.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Her name was Nellie, so it was like a
Oh, I see. So that works.
yeah.
Makes sense.
all right. So you guys send me pictures when you're done. If you want me to take a look at your drawing, if you're feeling good about your drawing, we can move on. If you have any questions at all, send me your drawing so I can just check it.
I mean, this is not a face, so it doesn't have to be exact, right?
Exactly.
Having said
But
that, mine
things should
looks
be
nothing like
things-
it.
So then you should bring a couple of pieces in. So send it over and maybe I can take a look.
I did it sideways because your picture came that way.
Oh, okay. That
But,
probably
it-
helped, didn't it?
No, it's terrible. Now that I'm looking at it right side up, it doesn't look anything like it.
Okay. Well, try doing, would you rather look at my sketch or the actual source?
I'm looking at your sketch.
Okay, so here's.
I'm
the
looking at your
sketch.
lines, you know, your red lines.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So what you actually would like to see is this. Let's move this so it's a little bit more clear. There you go. Let's see. Jean, looking pretty good. Nice. I think this is coming up a little, this mountain, Jean, is coming up a little higher on yours. If you could just nip it off. There should be about, see, this should be about half the distance
Mhm.
from the top of this dark mountain.
I was kind of going with Marie's thing that we can make choices.
Okay, why is it, what's the choice
Quite
there?
right too.
What's the reason?
Because I wanted to get more of the detail of the snow in that guy.
Okay.
As opposed to more of the side of the mountain, which is.
All
black.
right. That works for me. Okay. Got it. 1, 2. I am actually going to skip these mountains, you guys. So I would recommend you don't even put them in.
Which ones are you skipping?
These
there?
ones, I'm pointing to them with my finger here.
Oh, these, okay.
Skip these just because we're not going to have time. Or, oh, I see a little kitty paw on Emma's. I'm also getting rid, Emma, of this at the front. This thing at the front because I don't think we need it. You know, it's like this is kind of extraneous, so this will just be white. When you're working on compositions, we look to simplify as much as possible. That looks pretty good. Yep. 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 Looks good. Emma, there's a couple more peaks, light peak shapes here you might want to add in. This one and that one. I know I don't have them outlined.
Oh, okay.
But you're going to want them in just because that's a long strip of, that's a lot of real estate, as we say on the canvas. So when an item takes up a lot of space. Okay. Nice work. Anybody else want me to see look at their drawing?
It's coming.
Okay, got it. I'm not trying to rush. This should be a little simpler because we're not dealing with so many colors.
What blues should we be getting out?
We're going to be testing phthalo blue and ultramarine blue. So you're going to want, but you're not going to get those out yet because the first, we're going to do an underpainting. And what is our underpainting? Here's the painting. What color should we use for our underpainting? Immediately.
Which class is this? Landscape painting? No.
This is just painting.
East Coast.
East Coast painting. Everybody's doing, so this is targeted painting exercises. So this week, everybody in.
I'm just trying to find the right thread.
Yeah, Cork, US East Coast. Yes. Yeah, it's like hard to. Yeah, so Sandra, yours is also a little bit tall. Just be aware of that. This mountain here is tall. See how tall it is compared to.
So you mean I made it too short or too tall?
You made this too tall.
Oh, because I just made it taller.
Yeah, I would make it shorter, a little shorter. Other than that, looks pretty good. Okay. Grant, did you want to send your drawing in, or are you feeling okay about it?
I can, yeah. I'm gonna have a little trouble mixing various shades, so I didn't put quite as much detail in as you, but
Okay.
Huh?
How about purple for
Emma is getting love.
Purple, no, is not going to be our base color. What's our underpainting going to be? The top is blue, orange.
orange?
So burnt sienna. Orange.
So Leah.
Yes.
I want to learn. I don't think I can tell warm blues from cold blues.
Okay, so
because the way I can tell a color, whether it's dark, whether it's cold or not, is whether it's got blue or red in it, and this is blue already. So
we're going to talk about that. So don't worry about that, Sandra, but that's what this whole lesson is about. So that's our whole practice today, is figuring out which blues to use and what is cool and what is warm. Let's see. Okay, Grant, good. Excellent. Okay, so before we get started mixing and talking about blues, we are going to start with a values painting, right? Like we do with all of our paintings. So we're going to start just very quickly. This is not going to take long. It's going to be really easy. I'm going to move this over here and I move this here. And the underpainting that we're going to use is going to be burnt sienna. And if you don't have that, where's my paints? Where the heck? Oh, there they are. Burnt sienna. If you do not have burnt sienna, you can mix a cadmium red and cadmium yellow together. make a real proper orange, a bright orange. But the easiest thing to do is to take some burnt sienna. Here, I'm going to put this up here.
So, Leah, the values painting, it's on a separate piece of paper?
No, it's going to be the base of the painting.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah. So just like we've done the last couple of times, right? We've started our paintings with what is called a values painting. That means it's a single color and it goes light to reflect the values. And because this is a blue underpainting, because this is a blue overpainting, we're going to start with the complement of blue, which is orange. So transparent red oxide is, burnt sienna or transparent red oxide is good. But if you don't have that, you can mix cadmium yellow and cadmium red.
I like need this to work on Monday. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Do I need to sign? You sure? Okay. Sorry, guys. No, I had to get a new laptop because I can't work on Monday without it.
Oh, nice.
The delivery guy just said he would sign it for me. Is that weird?
I think, yeah, I don't know.
I guess
All the time.
I answered the door holding paint.
No, because they don't want, because they
Oh,
don't,
yeah.
'cause they're trying to be safe.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so the
Okay,
other option is I'm just putting
Sorry.
the colors here that you could use for this base painting. But yes, our exploration is going to be, how do we tell whether a blue is warm or cool? But you can either mix these two together or you can use transparent red oxide, or sorry, you can use burnt sienna. I'm using transparent red oxide, it's pretty much the same. So once again, just to, the setup is here. Let's see. Oh, that's so cute. So I don't know if you guys can see this. Oh yeah, whoops, sorry.
Now we can't.
Now you can't because this thing just went bananas. Here, I'm gonna have to move this over a little bit. There we go. So here's my water cup. We're gonna be, as usual, starting with a very big brush. That means do not use this. Do not use this. This is not big enough. This is not big enough. This is certainly not big enough. These are not big enough. This is big enough. So you want a big brush.
how big? How big? Like this.
Does a craft brush work?
What's that? A craft brush is perfect. Craft brush is perfect. It's like an inch. It's big. If you compare it to your smaller brush, yeah, it's an inch. This is an inch. 1 inch brush. If you can, the biggest brush you can. And then as usual, I'm going to be kind of squeezing out the excess water when I want to make my paint cover more heavily. So when I'm doing the dark, here we go. Yeah. So I'm going to start with the darkest areas first. So I'm going to squeeze my brush out once I get it wet. I'm going to do what's called loading it, which means I've got a lot of paint on my brush. And then in the darkest areas, I'm going to go in and paint dark. And I know where the darkest areas are because I've sketched them out. I can get a little bit more water, but before I just dipped in water, but before I come back, I'm going to squeeze it again. So the water helps move the fluidity, but to create a dark enough, and I'm mostly going to be using vertical strokes, not so many horizontal strokes, because these mountains are going up and down. And there's a little bit of this diagonal movement, but in general, this whole area, even though there's all these different lighter areas within the dark, we're not focused on that right now. We're just interested in kind of the basic dark. And then I can come down here and do the same thing. This little blotch, which is right here, it's kind of the darkest area. So I'm just moving around the whole painting, finding the darkest areas. Are there any other darkest areas? That might be it. I think it's just this, because even though these are dark and these are light. Notice how much lighter the mountains are in back. We're going to talk about what's causing that. That's basically really the only dark. This is the only dark area. The darkest areas. Do you guys need me to photograph that, or do you feel like you've got that?
Not bad, I think.
You're good. You got that? Okay, good. So I'll just leave it there for a second. And then when you're ready, I'll show you the next step in the values painting. We want to get this done fairly quickly so that we can start practicing our mixing. Let this dry. So when I want to go lighter and I'm using the same color, so I'm trying to reflect like a lighter value, I actually use more water. So my water gets like I load less paint on the brush and it's more watery. So in this medium section, I don't know if you can see this. I can even scrub it out a little bit. It's actually, I want it to be darker than that. There we go. So in this medium section, which is really everything here in this front mountain up to about here, I'm using more water and less paint to create a lighter feeling. And where else can I do that? I can do that in here. And then I'm moving around the painting as well, going, okay, where else can I find kind of medium darks? This area, which is this kind of rocky area right here. And then truthfully, this area back here is a little bit darker. So I'm going to add a little bit more paint to my brush as I come back here and here. So you see how it's a little bit tricky to see. I'm going to move it down a little bit. There goes my drips. Oh, I love my drips. A little bit easier to see here. So you can see how this whole area is kind of medium dark, but it still reads as lighter compared to this. And then I'm just going to make this whole thing that color. So let's see. There's like this and that. All right. Yep, that's pretty much it for the mediums. Notice my painting is, because I'm holding it upright, and I'm using a more watery. So look what's happening. I'm getting these drips, which actually are really maybe totally helpful for this painting. So I'm not trying to get rid of them. I'm just letting them go. Even this one here, which is kind of coming into my light area. And then for the sky and the lightest areas, we're just going to go even lighter. So I'm adding more water to my brush. I'm making even a more watery layer to these light areas. So you can see there's a transition in value. Everything's a little bit darker than it feels like it should be. That's okay. And I'm going to do the same thing on the top here, just kind of darken this. So this is what we call a basic values painting. And the reason we call it a values painting is that it's using a single color and the focus is on reflecting the light, medium, and dark values. So let me take a picture of this so you can see it. It doesn't really look like there's color on here, but there is. Okay. We're also going to get to practice a technique I really love to use called glazing. So I'm quite stoked about that. Anybody ever done that before? Oh,
You do that in everything, Leah.
do I do that? Have I taught you how to glaze?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's so cool.
Always glaze.
Good. Well, good. I feel like I've not really, in the last couple lessons, we haven't glazed.
No.
Yeah, that's an old thing, but for this new group who's never painted before, they've never glazed. So glazing is the good, but yes, it's true. Glazing is they're totally calling me on it. Glazing is my favorite trick up my sleeve.
So you can use glazing with any medium. I'm not using acrylic, I'm using acrylic wash.
Yeah, you can
I
use
don't know whether
glazing.
you
You can
can
do the
glaze
same
with
thing.
that.
Yes, you can totally do that.
Okay.
Yep. So here, and sorry, these are all like on the side, but there you go. There's the sketch, the sort of painting sketch. It looks terrible, which is good. So that's just to tell you that like, that's how paintings look when they start. Oh wait, I'll keep it up here so you guys can see it. But also eventually this is going to go down so it can dry. And then we're going to talk about blues. And Sandra, I think you're going to find this really helpful.
Oh, good.
Because it's good. It's a good, I didn't even realize it until I started teaching it last night, but I was like, oh yes, this is a great exploration on blues.
Do you want to see our underpainting?
Yeah, sure.
It was a bit ugly.
They are ugly. Mine's ugly.
No, this is more ugly than yours.
We'll see about that. No, mine's the most ugly. No, mine's the most ugly.
It doesn't look anything like a mountain.
Yeah, mine doesn't either. Look, mine just looks like blotches of
Well,
color.
yours looks a bit more like rock, I have to say.
A little. Let's see. Yeah, send it over if you want to. When you're done.
Yeah.
I want you guys, don't rush, you guys. Send
There
it over.
it is.
Let's see. Sarah, that's nice. Yeah, I think that's going to work. So you, Sarah, just decided
Sideways.
did you decide to cut off the sky? Or is it just a little tiny bit? I see it. It's a little tiny bit up here.
Yeah, it's just like skinny.
You've cut your sky. Now, did you find yourself, I'm going to ask you this. Did you find yourself doing that intentionally, or did you find yourself doing that because you made your mountains too big?
I made my mountains too big.
Okay, so be aware of that. That's a thing. There are points in where, as Jean says, one makes a choice. And then, but more often we're just not paying attention. And like I did when I first started, I made the same mistake. I started my mountain too high. So
yours looks nice, Jeannie. It looks like mountain.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks great.
Yeah.
And so just be aware that that is something that happens, and you should be thinking about this piece, right? As much as the things, the things that aren't your subject as well as your subject. Sandra, it's too, so Sandra, get your medium and your lights in, and I think you're going to like it better.
I did that.
I can't see, I don't see any light here. Did you have color and I'm just not seeing it? There's
Really?
no color here.
There's 3 colors.
I see no light. I see 3 colors, and then I see a whole bunch of areas of your painting that don't have any. The whole painting should be covered.
Oh, yours.
Mine is.
Well?
If you look at the actual picture.
So the snow is supposed to be there as well.
No, it's supposed. Yeah, it's supposed to be. Just you need to make it darker than you need to make things darker than the snow. So every part of this canvas should have color on it. And if you actually look at
I couldn't see the colors on yours on the white parts. I thought you left them white for the snow.
I know it's hard to see. Oh, nice, Jean. There we go. Good. Jean, you should have it should be dark all the way up one side of this guy.
Okay.
You have this mountain sticking up, and so it's going to look funny if we don't get this halfway point coming all the way up to the top. I like your values here. So Sandra, look at how Jean did her values in the light section. That's what you're looking to do. So Jean, I'm just explaining to you as a choice that you have made, that you've taken away almost all your darks in this by making this decision. So it may really affect the outcome of your mountains because this is really the only dark base. So I'm just saying, think about that as you're going through and making those decisions. It's important to think, what will happen if I remove this dark area? Will it affect the balance of the painting? I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying, notice that it does.
That the blob of dark on the smaller one too.
You have a blob of dark, but yes, but like it's not the same. It's not the same. The shapes aren't the same. So they might have a significant impact on the final outcome.
And
That is just what I want to point out. As you make these decisions, think about that. Think about, oh, I have this dark piece. This is part of the balance. It's the only really dark piece in the composition. So I don't want to lose it all. Huh?
Bubbles is saying hi.
Hi, Bubbles. Bubbles. You can look up at Jean's picture. Bubbles. Very cute. Okay.
Okay, I'm taking another picture.
Okay. Anybody else want to send theirs along? And listen, guys, I don't mean to sound, remember, I'm not trying to be a buzzkill here. I am just trying to I'm like, oh, here's all these things are good. Here's the one thing that's wrong. So I forgot to say, these all look really great. Like they look really, really great. So just like know that I am noticing if I skim, it takes me a while, then that means your painting is in good shape. I'm looking for the one thing. Better, Sandra, that's great. Your sky as well.
Oh, we have to, the sky also orange?
Yes, everything,
Okay.
the whole thing,
Oh.
because everything's going to be covered with blue. So we need an orange base underneath. The sky is part of the painting. It's not separate from the mountains.
Right, no, you're right,
Yep. It's easy to go there mentally. All right. And so then when you're done, go ahead and put that on the side here. And let's pull out. No, what just happened here? Oh. Yes. Okay. So here, let's see. I'm going to put in. So here's my palette paper. Here is our mountains. So we can look at the colors. You also have this in your WhatsApp thread, so we can see this a little bit better. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do this. There we go. Yeah. And I think I can do this. All right. So then the question, it's good. So last week when we did tulips, if you remember, we explored the idea of warm and cool reds, right? And we ended up with our tulip having quite a much cooler red that I think we would have picked out. And we explored what those colors are. So with this, there is also a warm and a cool blue. Now there are many different blues. So, but go ahead and pull out, if you've got it, ultramarine blue and phthalo blue.
Oh, I don't have phthalo.
What do you have?
I've got sky blue, Prussian blue,
Prussian blue
aqua
will work.
blue, and cobalt blue.
Prussian blue will work. Prussian blue has has phthalo in it. It's cooler blue.
It's dark.
Yes, and it's cooler.
I only have primary blue, unfortunately.
Okay, so that'll be problematic. You will notice. So I just want you to watch this. You need to get these colors, and the colors are all listed in the supply list, and you will want them. But just do your best as we go through.
A package of paints and yarn was stolen from me.
Oh, son of a bitch! That's terrible.
I mean, I hope that they're crafting, you know,
I hope they are. Yeah, but they probably aren't. That's the annoying fucking thing. Give yourself a bit of white. We've already got orange up here, so that's probably actually all we're going to need for this palette. So to know kind of how these colors behave, so phthalo blue, which is here, it's spelled like phthalo blue, Phthalo phthalo-cynicsine, I don't know, phthalo blue, and ultramarine blue. So phthalo blue is cool and ultramarine blue is warm. What does that mean? It means that ultramarine blue has a little bit more red in it.
Red.
Yeah. And phthalo blue has more green, blue hues. More green and blue hues. So when I add, just quite simply, if I take my palette knife, and you guys can do the same just to see what it does, you'll see that if I add, I take some white here under my phthalo blue, and I take some white here under my ultramarine, that if I add just a touch of phthalo, it makes kind of this turquoisey color. Oh, it's already mixing. I have a little bit of burnt sienna over here. It's mixing a little bit. Here, let me try that again in a place where there's no burnt sienna. So you'll see, and I don't need very much phthalo blue, not very much at all. See that? You'll see it makes a certain kind of blue. And if I mix, if I clean up, I'm cleaning up my palette with a paper towel, and then I'm pulling a little bit of ultramarine. I know it's hard to see on the screen. I'm going to take a picture of it so you can really see it. You'll see that these blues, when you mix them with white, make very significantly different different hues as they get lighter. This almost looks purple. So take a look. So this one is phthalo blue. This one is ultramarine blue. Try mixing that yourself and see what it does, or your Prussian or whatever you have. And you should see a significant difference here. I'm going to.
It's yeah, because when you, the two blues just next to each other look very similar.
They do until you mix them with white, right? And then look at how different. Here, I'm going to take a picture so you can see mine. I mean, it's so different. Isn't it interesting? This blue, the ultramarine looks almost purple. That means there's more red in it. Oop. Here we go. And which is the blue that is more, that's in here? Is it ultramarine or is it phthalo?
Phthalo.
I think it's phthalo. Yes. So it's going to be, this is a very cool picture. It's going to be phthalo that we're going to use, but we're not going to use phthalo on its own. Let's just do a couple more of experiments just to see. Try mixing a little bit of phthalo with yellow to see what kind of green it makes, right? So if you've got a little yellow, try mixing a little phthalo to see what kind of green you get. And then you can take more yellow over here and just compare it to the ultramarine. I love to spend this time. Yeah, the ultramarine mix is not very green. It's kind of more khaki. This is kind of more emeraldy.
Would the khaki green be good for the dark places?
No. We're going to use phthalo. We're going to use phthalo, but it's what we mix with phthalo that becomes. This is going to be a mostly phthalo painting. I don't even know if we're going to use ultramarine blue. We didn't yesterday. Oh, we did for the sky, just to kind of distinguish the sky. So here's the difference between, and I'm still just going down. So the left side is phthalo and the right side is ultramarine. I'm just going down. So but you try it yourself as well. You'll see the difference. Gesundheit.
You did the same mountain yesterday, Leah?
I did not. I did an entirely different mountain yesterday.
But you used the same colors.
I didn't. I mean, I used the same colors on the mountain. It was an entirely different viewpoint. It was a mountain with trees in front of it.
Oh, okay.
So, and we'll be doing the entire, it was a clip from one of Marie's photos that she took of Mount Rainier. And actually she's going to do the whole thing on Sunday. So I'll show you what the pastel will be on Sunday. It's beautiful. You guys will love it. But yeah, no, totally different. And then I decided I really wanted to focus on mountains and not be distracted by trees. So that's why I pulled up this one. Yeah, I try to do a different one in every class. So we'll do mountains tomorrow, but it'll be a different mountain set, but it'll be similar, but it'll be a different scene. So that, because Sandra, you're going to take, you take both days. So I at least want you to do something different. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's the idea. Not just you, but all of you. Right? So try mixing the yellow. And then as a last one, try mixing. Okay. So if you try mixing, this cadmium red is going to not make a good purple. So if you want to practice a mixing of purple, put quinacridone red, like the cool red that you used last week. Put some cool red on your palette like that. Mine is quinacridone red, but it doesn't have to be. And then try mixing a little bit of blue, phthalo blue with your quinacridone red. And to see it, you'll probably need a little bit of white.
This is the one that's going to turn bad.
It's not a value judgment. It's just, you're just looking at what these blues do as you mix. So I want you to have a cool red. If you mix your blues with a warm red, you're not going to get a good purple. You'll get a mud.
Oh.
So I had you put a cool red down, and then you're going to pull a little bit of white to see how that looks. And you'll see that the purples look very different too. So when I mix ultramarine blue with quinacridone red, I get a very different purple. I can't really see it until I get my white in here. I totally have to get more white. Where is my white? My white is running out. So can you all see that? Can you see how these colors mix very differently? They create different purples. They create different greens. They create different light blues. That's what I want you to see.
Dry.
You got to get yourself more paint. The nice thing about, there we go. Yeah. It's the nice thing about oil. It doesn't dry. If any of you are going to come to oil with me, you don't have to. You could totally stay in acrylic until April. But if you wanted to, so you could even see the difference between these purples. Just the blue, the ultramarine blue with red is almost a kind of a light purple, a kind of mauvey purple. And the phthalo blue makes a much kind of deeper, darker, richer purple. Yeah, as far as I can tell, I don't see any ultramarine blue here. Maybe there's a little bit, but I don't see it right now. Not in this picture. So the question becomes, how do we mix this blue? Because even though this blue looks like this, right? Sort of like the blues, it's a little bit different. So in the shadow areas of our painting, we are going to mix a light blue. Oh, okay, so there's a couple of things to look at actually, as we're looking at this painting. So one of the things to notice, which is always true about landscapes, is this. If these mountains were closer, they would be as dark as this. It is because these mountains are farther away, the farther away things in the background, that everything gets lighter and bluer. Can you see that? Everything gets a sort of like lighter, bluer haze. It has something to do with like how the blue light wave travels as opposed to everything else. So one of the ways to show distance in your landscapes, and this is not just true of mountains, it's true of everything. Anything that is farther away will look lighter and bluer. But we need to remember that if this mountain was up close, this mountain here was here, where we are, it would be as dark as this. So one of the ways to show distance is always to remember that this back plane, these things that are farther away, gets a little bit lighter and bluer as you move farther away. The other thing is that these are in shadow. So when we start to lay down colors, we are not going to lay straight blue down in here. We are going to mix a touch of the complement in with the blue for our shadow areas. So what does that mean? That means we're going to take, for the lighter dark areas, we're going to take over here, for the lighter dark areas. So and that means, here, like this color back here, we're going to mix blue, phthalo blue with white, and then we're going to add a touch of burnt sienna to it to blend it in. Just to knock back the shadow. I might add a little bit more blue. So I want you to practice mixing a little bit of blue shadow color. So that shadow color, this blue, is not just a darker or a lighter blue. It's actually got a little bit of orange in it. And that's going to be the same with here. So here, I'm going to mix phthalo blue just with burnt sienna. And that's what I'm going to lay down as my base, as my dark base here. So practice adding a little bit of orange into your blues. And we will start laying down the shadow colors. Grant, these colors should work pretty much the same for you. The challenge is do not put any color where the whites are, right? Where there is white, no color. You have to just leave that. This whole area, you just have to leave blank. You never put anything here, back here, blank, blank, blank.
Cool.
Yeah. So work on that. And if you want to, and then we're going to practice a stroke. I guess we should do a little practice stroke before we, also my painting isn't quite dry yet. So we'll do a little practice
Leah?
stroke. Yes.
So the medium blue was the phthalo blue, orange, and white, and then the dark one was what?
Phthalo blue and orange.
Okay.
It's all phthalo blue and orange, just more white to make it lighter. Yeah. Yeah. So it's pretty simple. I'm not quite exactly sure about these grays here. We will, they are, what would those be? You know, that might be, I might try, I'm going to experiment for a second. You see, what I'm talking about are these grays here, up here, because they're a little bit, I'm wondering if we could mix a little bit of ultramarine blue.
With yellow?
No, with, that'll just make green. With the ultramarine blue and white. So let's see what happens. I think we can make a nice gray with ultramarine. Yep. That's what we're going to do. Sometimes even I'm surprised. I know the rule. So what we're going to do is mix. So for these these areas that are kind of gray, rocky areas in the light, they're going to be ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and white. So really all your blues are going to get a little orange in them. So the shadows of the mountains are going to be phthalo blue, burnt sienna, and then white as you want to get it lighter. The sort of rocky parts of the mountains are going to be this sort of in the light, in the light here. That's going to be ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and white. And then the technique we're going to practice is something called dry brush, which is a really fun technique. I think you guys are going to like. The class really liked it last night, and I think you're going to love it because it's super satisfying. In dry brush, let's see if I can do this. I'll lay some of this color down here like this. So I lay down some gray here. right? And then I let it dry. And when it's dry, I'm going to brush. I can't, it's hard to experiment with because it takes a minute to dry. Let's see. I wonder if there's actually, oh yeah, here, I can show you what dry brush is because I've got this mark that I made last week. So in dry brush, once you've got something dry, you can take white or whatever color it is. In general, it'll be white because we're going to be bringing white and maybe a little bit of blue over the top. I'm going to put a lot of, my brush is going to be dry. I'm not going to get water on it. And I'm going to load paint on my brush and then on this thick brush. And then I'm going to drag it. I need more, even more. Hold on. You kind of drag this dry brush with all this lumpy color on top of the dark, like this, so that it has a kind of snowy, craggy look. Now, if I have, it's darker here, I can do dry brush here with a slightly lighter version. I'll show you when we get here. It's going to be hard to do it without, because it takes a while to get this to dry. But just practice the idea of loading up your brush with your dry brush with a lot of paint. So get lots of paint on it like this, and then practice kind of dragging across.
That's with white?
With
or-
white, yeah.
Okay.
I guess you can try it with yellow too, just to see, but really we're going to be working with white. Just practice on a little marking. So the key with dry brush is that the paint underneath has to be dry. So you're dragging and it's not blending so much.
When you're dragging it, how heavily are you putting down the brush?
Kind of
How much-
light, not that heavily. Not that heavily. You'll see when we get there. You want a lot of paint, right? So it's all piled up. And then, yeah, not very, it's a great question. Not super heavy. Dry brush is a super light. It's a little bit like creating a soft edge, but instead of both sides being wet, one side is, the underneath is kind of dry. And I think you'll find it a lot more forgiving. Maybe not. So you want a lot of paint on your brush. See how I'm kind of dragging it? See how I'm kind of just lightly brushing so that there's that feeling of the snow and the pathways. So practice that. Yeah, it's a very light touch because we don't want to overpaint. Overpainting is such a thing. It so happens all the time. I think it's like the biggest thing that happens to painters. It's like the biggest problem that happens to painters. We get kind of insecure about our painting and we start scrubbing over and over and over in an area. And then we lose all of this beautiful texture that we've built up over time. So practice for a second, mixing that, mixing the color, and then you can stop. I'm just looking to see if my paint is dry enough. I think my painting is dry enough to try and, here, hold on. I'm gonna get set up to start demoing this. So the only things that you really need, only colors you need on your canvas, or sorry, on your palette are phthalo blue, which is gonna be all of your shadows for your mountains, ultramarine blue, which is gonna be the part, your rocks in the sun, white, and burnt sienna. That's all you're gonna need in a very basic way. Oh, there we go.
For the white, we're not going to use pure white. We're going to use a very, very light blue, right?
In some areas, we're going to use pure white, but not at the beginning. Good question, Jean. We will end up using some white, but we're going to need to use the white. We need to have a base underneath. That's good. You can mostly see that. So are you guys ready to try? Actually, you know what I need to do? I need to go clean my water out. So let me do that really quick. I'll come back and then we'll get started. Paint. Okay. So my painting is dry. I'm going to start, as always, with the darkest areas. So I'm going to start by mixing over here phthalo blue and burnt sienna. Phthalo blue and burnt sienna. You can see that the phthalo blue will take a lot of burnt sienna. Phthalo blue is a really intense color. It's insane. It'll take a lot. So there's my phthalo blue and burnt sienna. Does anybody want me to write that down? Or you got it? I think you've got it. It's pretty simple. All right. And then I'm going to make sure I'm going to squeeze out my brush to make sure it's not too wet. My big thick brush. And then I'm going to load that brush. I can even see I need more burnt sienna in it. I'm going to load my brush in. I'm going to brush it over the red in a kind of loose way. And I have to go back in and get paint quite a lot. So you might have to mix more than one. So notice I'm not like, how do I say this? I'm not scrubbing so intensely that I'm covering completely what's underneath. I am allowing my underpainting to come through. I'm also not letting, I'm not worried about all this snow yet. That's going to come later. If you want to see the difference, here, I'll put in just some basic ultramarine blue. You can actually see a difference in this blue and this blue. Even on the zoom screen, you can see that this is a little more electric and not exactly natural. It's not quite natural. So I know I always need to knock back my blue, particularly this crazy phthalo blue, which is so intense. I need to knock it back with some orange to create something that looks more natural. So I'm coming in here. And I'm mostly doing vertical strokes. I need to get my brush wet again, squeezing it out. I want to cover up my red, but I want to let a tiny bit come through. Yeah. I need to bring out, and here's where I'm like, oh yeah, I need to kind of pull out the shape of this thing. And I'm going to put that same blue here on the front mountain. Yep, it's right there. It's right up there. I think that's it. I think that's all the super dark there is. So that's your beginning. It totally looks like it looks like the Close Encounters from the third kind. That's what that mashed potato mountain.
Yep.
except darker. So I want you to notice how awkward this looks. I have confidence because I know I've painted enough to know that this is going to translate into something really great. But that is very hard for people who are not used to painting can sometimes get frustrated by thinking that their painting looks stupid. You can get over the fact that your painting looks kind of stupid right now. It'll look better quicker. I'll take a picture
I just
of
want to
it.
say, even if you've been painting a long time, you still get frustrated that your painting looks stupid. Just want to add that in.
Yeah, primary blue at imitating phthalo with phthalo green. So I think your phthalo greens and your primary blues have white in them, right, Emma?
Oh yeah. Well, in that one it does. That was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah.
Okay, so try mixing. That's not bad. That's pretty good. So try mixing in a little bit of burnt sienna in there as well. So you
Yeah.
can get
No,
your,
I
I like
did.
that. That actually works out okay. I like it.
Cool.
Nice
Yeah,
work.
I think it's doing. It's I already went down that path and it's on the paper now. So no,
I went down that path.
I think it's okay though.
Cool. Very nice. So I like that recovery. Very good. Phthalo, yeah, phthalo green is also insane. And does the primary blue, is that dark or is that a kind of medium color? Has some
Here,
white in it.
I'll hold it. I don't know. I don't know if you can see. It's like
I can't tell from the
standard blue,
tube.
sort of like cobalt blue.
Oh yeah, that's got a lot of white in it. So that'll
Okay.
have a, yeah, that has a lot of white in it. So that kind of just, it's a bummer because it kind of gets in your way. I'm trying to make it dark, but you'll get as dark as you can.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got this. Do you guys want me to go any further or do you want
Yes.
me? Okay. Yes, I would like to go further too. Okay. So now I'm going to mix sort of these dark, lighter colors on the dark side, on the shadow side. I want you to be able to see them here. So that's phthalo blue and burnt sienna with just more white in it. I need to get more white. So I'm making sure there's phthalo blue. So once again, it's a values thing, right? So I want, yeah, that's right. There's still orange in this blue. All of these oranges have blues. So even though this is all snow that I'm painting now, it's snow that's in shadow. So it's pretty dark, but it's not as dark as the rocks and the trees. And up here. So there's some white in there. You can see it against here, right? And here. So it's lighter, but it's not that light. Yep. And there are a couple of other places this is.
Wait,
Let's
sorry.
see.
What's that? Could you say that mixture again?
It's just the same. It's phthalo blue, white, burnt sienna, and some white. So just to lighten it. There's a kind of a lighter snowy area here. So I might add that in right now, just right here. I'm not getting into much more detail than that. So this is really distinguishing. And Jean, by the way, I'm really freaking proud of you that you're going to go plein air paint. Jessica's going to teach you everything you need to know.
Well, I don't know that it's really plein airing because we're going to be indoors.
Oh, okay. But painting on location.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a really fun. It's I remember the first time I did it, I was terrified. It is a terrifying experience, but it's totally
It's a
worth
terrifying
doing.
experience. I'm not scared anymore, but I used to be.
I wish I had a Jessica to take me.
I'll take you. Don't worry, Jean. I will help you. It'll be fine.
That's how I started painting, was just going
Out.
on vacation.
Yeah, there you
Actually, me
go.
too.
Yeah.
Jessica,
Yeah.
I trust you completely.
You're
Aw,
right. You're
thank
exactly
you.
and you're absolutely right, Jean. You're in the right.
I'll help you. It'll be okay. You'll
She'll
have
help
fun.
you.
It'll be a nice time. I will help you. Don't worry.
I'm mostly teasing Jean, which I shouldn't do. That's like, I shouldn't tease you.
Yeah, we're gonna post our pictures to the class chat, and Leah, you're gonna be floored.
I'm
No
gonna
pressure.
fucking love it. I'm gonna love
Of
it. I know I
course.
am. I know I
It's
am.
gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be amazing.
I'm just popping in to visit.
Hi, Diana.
It's very
Hi,
nice to
Diana.
see you.
We miss you.
I
What is
have
this
so
whole
much
dumb
work.
book?
I had to get out a statement on the Pearl murderer.
Oh,
What?
Set free.
What do you mean the Pearl murderer?
The Daniel Pearl murderer being set free.
They found it? Really? I didn't hear
no, he
that.
was in jail.
Oh,
They're
Jesus.
setting him free.
Fucking Christ. You're kidding
Yeah.
me. I hate
Mhm.
those. God, I just hate them. I really hate that. Because we have this color on our brush, we could try a little bit of dry brush here with the snow. So you want to take, once again, burnt sienna, phthalo blue, and a touch of white, right? So it's a little bit lighter. And you might try dragging in a couple of ways through this darker color. So not fully, right? But you might try tracing, bringing in a little bit of that color to which will read like snow. We can go lighter later, which we'll do, but we can drag a little bit of the veininess. Let me see if I can take a picture of this. So I waited until this dried and then took some of this lighter color and just dry brush dragged it through. Trying to avoid making a pattern.
Oh,
I love
now you tell us.
Diana. This is such a great. I always tell you not to make a
I
pattern.
know, and I always forget.
Yeah, I know. It's how it is. Here, hold on. I'm going to take a picture of this so you can see it, to see how this looks. Never make patterns in nature. They don't exist. There you go. So that's kind of how it looks right now.
Okay, good.
Okay. And then we're going to go right into the even lighter shadows. That makes sense, right? Because we've already got this color mixed. So we're going to, what did I do with my, here's my brush. I'm going to mix more phthalo blue and burnt sienna. And I'm going to add even more white to it to make it lighter. Kind of a light medium color. Right, so I want it to be lighter than this color. It's going to be lighter than this color. I need more white. You might need more white than you think to create the shadow sides of this back mountain. And my suggestion is you just follow my lead here and create one mountain range here. We'll decide what to do with this area later. Right, and now I'm coming in here. So I'm avoiding the totally light areas, but I've got more light in.
We're kind of missing the top layer. Ah, perfect, thank you.
Yeah, you got it. So you see, when I lay it down, it's significant, like down here, it's significantly lighter, but this is still the shadow side of the mountains here. And then I wonder if we should just lay it down here too. I'm simplifying. You guys can add more mountains if you want. So this is now what we've done is we've just painted the whole shadow sides in. Still looking pretty terrible. I'm just
don't
making it
think-
clear here. Still looking terrible. Like, so
I don't
don't,
think there's
or
gonna be any
awkward.
redemption for this. picture.
Oh no, this is just how it is. Don't you trust me, Sandra? I know.
I don't trust myself.
Yes, but you're following me, and I'm showing you that even now my painting is looking kind of
Let's see it again, Leah.
I'm
Awful.
sending it. It's I'd say awkward. Awkward is a better way to describe it. I don't want to say awful, right? It's just looking very awkward, right? It's like looking awkward. It's not done because we're not done kind of laying things out. I guess I'm emphasizing this because I want you to know that if you're not liking your paintings right now, it's okay. That's where they're supposed to be. Okay. Awesome. So now we're going to move to the light side. Do you guys, oh wait, do you guys want to get your things out? Or do you want me to keep going, or do you want to
Keep going.
finish this? Keep going. All right, I'm going to keep going. See, because this is a
And
fairly,
then we'll show you our
yes.
horrors.
All right, so for the light side, in this kind of rocky area, gray kind of rocky area, I'm going to mix ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and white. And a fair amount of white. Ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and then add some white. So that when I come in like this, oh, yep, even more white. Right, when I come in like this. So I have, remember, it's important to switch over to the warm blue for these grays. And I can also kind of see how I'm working on the side here. And I'm going to also drag a little bit of it, not much, but just a little bit down into the snowy side. So just little light taps. Yeah, so what's going on there? So this is the front. Yep, this is the back. So this kind of gray is showing up here. And maybe I've got a little bit of gray and white here. And then also that gray is going to go down here. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little bit of gray, kind of rocky area here and here and a touch here. But notice I'm dragging a little bit into just a tiny touch, not too much. I'm just sort of taking my brush with whatever's left and bringing a little bit of that gray down into the white. It's not looking better yet.
I'm sorry,
Just checking.
that gray is more white added to the medium color mix.
Yes, no, this is ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. So it's the warm blue plus burnt sienna.
Thank you.
Yeah, the other was cool blue, right? So this is all cool blue, but this gray is this warm blue.
Mine ended up being almost like a purpley gray, but I like it.
If you like it, use it, but it probably means you mix too much red in. So you might want to add a little bit more blue. Or did you not mix any red? You did, which blue did you use? You did
I did
orange.
Ultramarine blue and then orange and white.
Interesting. Orange. So did you mix your orange yourself? Or did you use the burnt sienna? Oh, just the orange.
Cadmium orange.
Ah, yeah. So that will be a little bit more violet-y. Yeah, but that's, if you like it, I'd say go for it. I mean, you don't have to go for these colors, right? We're just practicing the mixing.
Right.
I like that. That does not surprise me. Cadmium orange would have, yes, enough yellow in it. Okay. So now, now we get to go to the white. So now you want a fair amount of white. And believe it or not, actual proper white. Jean's like, are you sure we're not tinting this? Because I don't think I've ever told her to use white in her whole life.
Never,
Like, I don't know.
in 4 years have I heard you say.
Have you say use white, right? But for snowy mountains, we are using white. Although if we wanted to, we could, oh, you know, I forgot to glaze, but that's okay. We can do that later.
What to glaze?
So I've got a, yeah, we'll talk about glazing. I
Yeah,
totally forgot to
so
glaze.
Jean has never gotten to use white, and Leah's never forgotten to glaze.
I have never forgotten to
What's
glaze. What's up with this? So believe it or not, I am going to load my brush with white. So once again, I have a clean brush. I've got a lot of white on it. See how much white I've got on it? And now I'm dragging in, I'm adding the white in kind of thick strokes. Now look how much better this already looks, just as I'm adding it in here to this front mountain. So I'm piling this white on. Oh, I need to get more white. And kind of thick. And then I'm kind of dragging it a little bit over the edge, the now dry edge. See that? All of a sudden, this mountain is starting to look a little bit better. I'm going to do the same thing here, dragging the white. I might have to do a couple layers. So see how I'm kind of in places. So yeah, I am loading my brush with white and dragging it down. And all of a sudden, now my mountains are starting to look a little bit more mountainy. Here, I'm going to move this up so you can see. So you see how I'm making sure first, so that white is kind of blending a little bit with the dark gray that I drifted in here. So that's the first thing that's happening. Okay. And then I can use the tip to kind of start to get the top of the mountain on top of this gray. No. And I'm going to do the same with the back. There are white areas in the back that are pretty dramatically white. And here, so I'm just literally kind of dragging the white over the dark areas.
How wet is your brush?
It's not wet at all.
Okay.
Great question. Not really wet at all. Do you see how all of a sudden my mountains are starting to look like mountains once I add this white in? I mean, it's not perfect yet, and you're going to spend a lot of time fiddling around trying to make it so. And then I'm going to kind of softly blend in my white here to look like clouds. And just leave it there. And then I'm going to start dabbing that white into my gray, because there's all this gray, this snow right on the gray. I don't want to lose it. And there's still a pretty distinct line. Here it's just pure white, so it's kind of easy. There's a tiny little gray. And then for my sky, I'm going to mix a little bit of white with ultramarine blue, just to give a little shift in the color, give the eye some relief. So I'm going to lay in a kind of light blue sky. So now, although my painting still looks kind of awkward, it's starting to look more like mountains, right? Because I've got these big blocks in. Do you see how all of a sudden I've got a bit more mountain going here? That feeling of mountain. So now I can go in with a smaller brush and start working on the edge of where one mountain meets another. So in the front here, I'm just going back to my original ultramarine blue and burnt sienna mix and kind of working the edge where there's some trees up here.
On trees, yeah.
There are trees on this mountain. Look closely. You'll see this mountain is covered with trees. Oh, maybe it's
Well, I
rocks.
can't see them.
Oh,
They
there
look
are
like black rocks
trees.
to me.
There are trees. They're at the top. Anyways, sort of spiky tops here. I'm kind of coming in and strengthening the dark line that's here. So I start by working this area. It's annoying because I'm still getting more glare than what's really happening here. Let's see if I can show this. I feel like somehow this got a little too green. I must have gotten a little bit of yellow into my back mountains. They're not as blue as I want them to be. So I might mix another set of burnt sienna. So this is how sort of basic blocky you need to get before you can start getting into any detail, level of detail with these mountains. I think that's the key kind of takeaway I want here. I want you to kind of take from this. I want you to get, I don't like that color. As you start to go back in, so now I'm going to come back in. I wonder actually if I could use a little bit of, yeah, it's not going to do what I want it to do. Nope. I'm going to take a picture of this now so you guys can see where it's at. It looks a lot better than it did once I started adding the whites in. And now I'm going to go back and start to work some of this detail, focusing on where the light areas meet the darks. Now the edges are pretty hard where the light edges meet the darks. So I can make a pretty strong shape here. I need, I'll be right back. I need to get more white. I'm at the stage where I have to cut the tube at the bottom of the white so I can get enough white in to finish this painting. I'm like, oh, come on, come back here. Okay. Wonder. No, it's definitely cooler. I heard a little meow. Who was meowing?
Furball.
Furball.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Furball.
Yeah, that's furball. That's furball. Apparently, my cats want food.
Ah, you have to feed them before, otherwise they bother you all class long.
Yeah, she's the second one who's come around because I wasn't that smart. I didn't do that. They're coming to tell me about
Love
it.
that. That little. So I don't know if you can see this. I'm kind of coming in and I'm pulling in the edge. I'm paying attention to the edge. The black blue edge where it meets kind of this front edge. And all of a sudden I get a slightly, things start to become a little bit more distinct. Oops. More white. Yep.
Mm.
So how many times a day do you feed your cats?
Oh, that's a really good question. How many times do you?
Twice?
Or
When they're young, you can feed them all the time. I feed them at least twice. Sometimes they want to eat 3 times.
do they eat dry or wet?
Wet.
I was gonna
They
say.
eat-
Yeah, mine too. How do you only get to feed them twice a day? I would love to only feed my cats twice a day.
No, well, one of them likes Doris food, so he's got that as a backup. But
Okay.
yeah, the thing
How
is
many-
that now that I'm home all day long, they also want lunch.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
How many
If they
cats
can
do you
get
have?
3.
3.
Okay, so I also have 3. How much do you give them per feeding time?
A lot. Well, one of them, they all eat different things. One of them eats a can, and I also bake some chicken breast for them. So I always
we
have
do
that
the
as a side
same.
dish.
We do that.
Wow.
That's all Hermes can eat right now is chicken breasts and rice.
And then they also eat raw food. But the guy who eats the
Oh,
can
that's
doesn't
good.
like the raw food that much.
All right. My cats are eating. I'm not like that nice to them like you guys are. I do give them wet food, and 3 cats are eating 4 cans a day.
Oy,
Between
that's a
That's
lot of red
actually,
food.
look at the can, because I'm surprised. My can says that a cat needs about 3 of them a day.
What?
Yeah, and
Oh,
so
they
3
say
ounces.
cat
Yeah,
food.
No,
mine
they're
was
the
How
big
many
cans.
ounces?
Cat food.
They're the 5.5 ounces, not the little ones. They're
Ah,
the
okay.
bigger ones.
That's but on
But
it,
if
it
I put
says
down more
some-
than that, they don't eat it. And then
Really?
it sits there. Yeah. So I have figured out, and I've experimented, and I've wasted food, and I've figured out that my cats will each at one sitting eat a third of a can. They like
Oh, so there
the
you go.
extra gravy food, or else they just leave it and they want fresh food the next time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think
Yeah.
actually they're bored and I'm home, so they just want to eat all the time.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
so
I think
yes,
there's a lot of that going around, but they do
They do
eat
that
it when I
too.
put it out. They do eat it. So
So
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are watching what I'm doing here, but what I'm now doing is kind of going around and finding where the light and dark edges are and trying to add a little bit more detail. So if an area is kind of fading back, like this right here is fading back more than I'd like, I look at what's happening on the source. And now I'm using a smaller brush and I see that there's kind of a dark little kind of swoop. Not as dark, but it's
So
darker.
what color is on your brush, Leah?
I'm just using the blue. I'm just using the blue, the phthalo blue, burnt sienna mixture with various levels of white.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just kind of sticking with that. Although that's not entirely true. I've been experimenting with what happens if I add a little bit of ultramarine blue to the mix, but I'm not generally liking the results. So then I added a little bit of quinacridone rose to the mix, right, to see if a little bit of more purple would be like, and I didn't really like that either. I didn't think mostly that's what I was seeing was happening. So I'm finding myself returning to this mix all the time. So now I'm using a brush about this big. But look at what's happening. Now this is starting to come. I'm not saying it's there yet, but I'm going to say once I've laid out my blocks of color, now this area is starting to kind of come forward a little bit because I'm working where this light meets this edge here. So painting, you're going to find at the end of the day, it's all about edges. The only place you really need to focus on detail is where your edges are. Where a light edge meets a dark edge, where a hard edge meets a soft edge. That is where the detail needs to go and nowhere else.
Maybe you need to look at our things now.
Yeah. Let me
Because I'm
get
not
a
sure.
little bit. Yeah. No, you guys are fine, I'm sure. I'm trying to get
Yours
it
may
to
look like a mountain, but
yes, send yours over and I will take a look. Okay. One
Looks like
second.
I have to
I'm
go
gonna do
back
it.
to work.
Oh, Diana, that's just so sad. Let's see.
It's okay.
Oh, actually, Jean, this is looking amazing.
Really? I think it
Yeah,
looks
it's looking
great.
wonderful. It's looking wonderful. Emma O'Connor also looking wonderful. So now you guys start looking at some of the shifts. So instead of keeping this a sort of lunky, so Emma, like right here, you've got this sort of block of white, which is what I had. Now look at what's happening more closely at the source. There's a little dark edge, right? There's a little dip here. So there's a little bit of dark happening. So just start working edges. I actually think they're looking quite nice.
Is that blue, my medium blue, is it too green?
I just think it's pretty. I'd say keep it's not exactly what's going on, but who cares? It's totally working. So what I would work on is a little bit. So what's happening here, Jean, I'd nuance that a little bit. There's a little bit more darks coming into this white triangle here, right? It's not so solid. I love the shapes happening here. I love this little bits of white that you've got going. This is stunning. Just keep working edges. I think you should be really happy with it. It's actually shocking. Sandra, this is actually really good. Sorry, it's like really good. So here's where you want to be now. You guys, these are looking way better than you think they are. And Emma, this is looking beautiful. I love how you pulled out the colors, even with, not having as much color as you could. So yeah, I like Sandra, I like what you're doing here with these white stripy areas. Now actually might be a good time to glaze. So let me show you how glazing works. I'll show you glazing. Okay, so Sandra did. Bye, Diana.
bye.
We'll see you tomorrow. So Sandra did this. Here, hold on. You've got a little bit, it's easy to do this. You've got a little bit too much white, right? Streaky in here.
Right.
So I'm going to put it in like you've got there. Right. So now that looks like it's standing out too much. Right. And it's also like just too much. So now we're going to glaze this back. And so when I mean glaze, you're going to go back to your dark, you're going to go back to your big brush. You want it to be wet and you're going to put a purple, we're going to do a dark purple glaze over the top. So I'm going to mix phthalo blue and red, quinacridone red together till I get this kind of pinky here. You can see I'm mixing it right here. Kind of dark, rich pinky color. Right? Phthalo blue. And I'm using quinacridone. And then I'm going to get my brush very wet. I'm running out of space here. So I'm tapping on it so I do not have a lot of water. And then I'm going to, it's going to be water. It should be dark. I'm going to glaze
So
I'm
is
going to
glaze,
just watch, and then you'll learn. So what I'm doing right now is, this is so annoying because now we've got a glare and you can't really see it. So what I've done is I've taken this purple, this blue and this purple glaze, and I've run it over the top of your white in the dark area. So now the whites aren't sticking out so much, right? They're not so prominent. And in places, I can take a paper towel. Oh yeah, even that's too much. Get that in. So you want it to be dark. You want it to cover most of your white so that most of your white will not show up. And then in a couple of places, you can take a paper towel, pull out. You can sort of tap it to pull out some of the color, but the glaze will help you kind of push your whites back because they got a little bit too, it's easy to overdo your whites. It's easy to do too much. So you see that, Sandra? Do you see how that
yeah.
made these look better? Because, and it also kind of pushed this area back to the dark. So you kind of lost that when you add a little bit, but it's still really good. Don't get me wrong. Just looking to see if there's any other place this glaze could be helpful. In here, I could lay this glaze in here, the dark side of my front mountain here. So I don't know if you saw how I did that. I added in just in the dark side, not in the light side. So this just kind of, sometimes you get your kind of lights and darks pushed forward too much. So yeah, try glaze. Try a purple glaze. That's phthalo blue and quinacridone red or alizarin crimson, some cool red. Mix them together and make a very watery, it's like running a filter over the whole thing. I don't know. I think these are looking pretty amazing, actually. But honestly, Sandra, it's good. Grant,
Okay, I just
this
did
is
it.
good. Grant, this is good. This is good.
Oh, thanks.
Don't you guys like? I think you guys just all have to get away from these, because like stand away from them or something, because these are way better than you think they are. So I want you to just keep working detail. Very nice. It's funny how, here, let's see. Oh yeah, Sandra, that looks much better. So now we have these little suggestions of white without so much white popping forward towards us. So now I'd say the key here is to get this peak to pop forward, right? So what is happening here? There is a snowy edge here. I'm going to use a pointed brush to show you, because Sandra, you need to do this, and so do a lot of people. So if I'm looking at the source here, if I'm looking at what's happening, let's see, I'm going to put that here. I'm going to put this up here and this right here, right? So if I'm looking at what's happening here, there's this light edge. So that is, I'm going to start with that. That's the first thing. I'm going to take my white with a light sort of brush, and I'm going to try and add in that little peak here that just comes right up to the top, and it comes down. Do you see that? So now I can help kind of push this part of the peak forward using that white. So that's part of it. And then I realize, oh, I got to come back around the edge here with some of my dark color, right? To come in here to push this back. And then I can bring this dark edge kind of in here. So you see now I have this dark edge, but not only do I have this dark edge over here, it's a little
How dark
bit.
is it, that edge?
Yeah.
How dark is it?
What, this edge? Where?
When you put the dark edge.
This is the super darkest color. This is the.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then see how I'm kind of pushing my snow. I'm pushing up a little bit of dark into the light so that it looks a little bit more snowy. So now all of a sudden this is starting to come down, but also there's a key. dark edge here. So I'm looking at what is happening at the edge of the mountain in the front here that's pushing this forward. And then what's happening behind it to push it back? Is it darker? Is it lighter? There's a kind of pushing forward and backward. Now is like where we get to work with detail. If I feel like I go too far with my colors, I just mix more, push them in, blend them up. This is a key edge right here, down here. Right? This has to be a very hard edge, this white edge. It looks way better than you guys think. I love that you all think it doesn't look finished at all. That's really
Finished is not
awesome.
even the problem.
It looks much better than you think it does. And what I might actually have us do in a minute is actually hold our paintings out on the screen so other people can see them, which is kind of like looking at it from far away. I'd like to see that. Oi. Oh, no, too. Come here, you. What I'm intrigued by is there's not that much detail at all. And still, these are reading very much like mountains. Beautiful, Sandra. It's so beautiful. This is actually one of my favorite paintings you've ever made.
Oh.
Seriously.
You said what about the tulip view there?
I love those too. I feel like every time you're pushing yourself up, you're pushing yourself beyond even the limits that you know. And lots of leaps and bounds are happening.
Did something wrong.
It's okay. It dries. You know what Diana says? With acrylic, it dries in 10 minutes. You can just wait.
Yeah, I picked up a wrong brush.
Let's see.
That's okay.
Yeah, these really look amazing. So in a minute, I'm going to pull the spotlight down and I'm going to have us all put our paintings up. Yeah, I kind of like how this is looking. I'm going to stop right now. All right. So make a final mark. You're not making a final mark. You're just going to make a final mark for the moment. I'm going to pull the spotlight off and move into gallery view. So I'd like you all to move into gallery view. Hi, Lana. Hi, Janet. When did you get here?
She's been here since practically the beginning.
Really? So quiet. Okay, so I want you guys to hold your pieces up.
That's terrible.
Oh my God, Sandra, it's actually way better than you think it is.
Like
Sarah, that's wonderful. Oh, that's lovely, Jessica. Grant, You nailed it. Jean
Wow,
nailed
Grant,
it.
that looks fantastic, actually. I can see Grant looks like a
Emma,
mountain.
so I want you to hold yours up and look at everybody's paint list. And actually here, I'm going to spotlight everyone. So Jean, I'll start by spotlighting you. Look at, hold it up, Jean, so we can see it. Look at that. Down a little bit. It's wonderful, right?
That is
It's
good.
great. You nailed it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Sandra, here, hold on. I'm going to spotlight you. Replace spotlight. Hold it up. Step back. Step back. So you've got too much dark in those on the left side, but
Yes.
Sandra, the front mountain and the front sort of little mountain that's half white and half dark is lovely mark making. I love what's happening on the top. So you need to cover up those dark lines, the dark edges that you
These
just
ones?
added. Yeah, get rid of
Okay.
them with
Okay.
more white. And I think you're going to
Okay.
feel a lot happier. That's wonderful. Jessica, can you hold yours up? Oh, I just love these purple orangey skies. Isn't that wonderful?
Wow, that's amazing.
That's
It's
beautiful.
lovely.
Gorgeous, gorgeous.
Lovely, lovely, lovely.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Grant, hold it up. Nailed it.
Is that watercolor?
It's watercolor. He did it.
Hey,
He did
amazing.
it.
good job.
Good.
Very nice.
So that just goes to show you, never listen to the teacher. Do whatever the fuck you want. Sarah, go ahead and hold yours up. Ooh, wonderful.
Very nice.
Try to get it out of the
Wonderful.
glare.
Yeah,
That
out
looks
of
like
the
a
glare.
mountain.
It does. Sandra, yours looks like a mountain too. It really does. Wonderful. And I see what you mean about that purple, and it's lovely. It's lovely mixing. I also like this kind of light CE area that you did in the background there, that sort of dark, that very light triangle. So I don't know if you guys see it, but it's like the the light triangle that's on the upper right, That's the landmass. So what's great about that is that she's showing more receding, right? By making it lighter. So, but keeping it very simple. Beautiful, beautiful work.
That's very nice.
Janet, do you want to show what you're working on? Let's see. Janet's working on a big giant painting. Oh, hell
Wow.
yes. Hell yes. It's coming along.
Wow.
Janet's practicing painting surreal scenes. So this came from a figure model pose, which she then put all of these elements into it. And she did a drawing, and now she's doing a painting. It's looking
Fantastic,
great.
Beautiful.
And that
Oh,
what's
and there's
really
a nice rooster in it.
wonderful, what's really wonderful about the painting is at every stage, even though it's not finished, it's looking good. Your leaves are looking great, by the way. Emma, go ahead and hold that up. Yep. Yep. Very nice.
It's,
Very
I
nice.
made the mountain in the front a little too wet, so it's sort of dripping.
Yep, that's okay. Yep. So you can put it down now if you want to. So, and Lana, I know you can't show us. So one of the things I want to point out here is that we all got there. And here's mine, if you want to see it. Here, wait, it's because mine looked pretty bad for a long time too. I'm not gonna lie. Here.
You got a spotlight. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Right?
Leah,
Now
hold
it's
it closer. Now we get to tell you. Hold it closer.
Yeah, there you go. Wait, it's a little bit. Ugh,
The
it's 'cause
light
I
is
have-
not on it properly.
Yep, absolutely. Here, look at it this way. You're gonna have to look at it this way. And look at the difference actually, as you guys see that.
Oh, that's better. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So notice how like little detail I've got, and yet how much. I'm not saying this is a finished painting. I'm just saying the building blocks are here. This is very clearly mountains. I mean, it's mountains. We got there. Does anybody want to work a little bit longer? It's 5 o'clock, but we could go a little bit more time.
I do.
Okay, let's go on for another 15 minutes or so. Keep working on your painting. Find areas. I think everybody was kind of suffering a little bit from not having enough light on their subjects. I'm sure, when we were looking at them. So now, let's see here. Yeah. As usual, it was harder than I thought, but still fruitful.
You're always an optimist, Leah.
I am. I think you guys did really good with this assignment. I'm really pleased. I feel like even if you don't exactly like how it all like broke down, I think everybody kind of moved out of their comfort zone, followed the directions, and started to get somewhere. I'm seeing construction. Grant, I want to know what happened. Did he go? What happened for you this time? There was a nice leap I saw happen. So what happened for you to make that possible?
I have no idea.
You just paid attention to the shapes?
Yeah, that, and I kind of tried to keep it simple. I don't have a lot of the colors you were talking about, so I did some pretty simple mixing and just, I don't know, basically just doing different values and
Right.
trying
Keeping it
not to
simple.
overcomplicate it. Yeah, I kept it
Yep.
simple.
So I feel like all the time when you're bringing me subjects that you want to work on, there are subjects that require like way too much complexity, right? Like a million trees all on one hill.
Yeah.
Or so I think what I like about this is that this forced you into simple, and then that made it easier. Like what we realized was, and I think that's what also helped with people here, is that getting simple allowed you to everybody to kind of get to their mountain shapes quicker than they thought. You know what I'm saying? I mean, were you kind of surprised,
Yeah.
Grant, when you stepped back and went, wow, I haven't really spent much time on this, and yet.
Yeah, when it's like 5 inches from my face, it doesn't look very good. I hold it back a foot.
Exactly.
Maybe that's what I should try with some of those landscapes like you were talking about, is just I should try to strip it down simply and not.
That's what I mean. And I think when you give me stuff that you want to paint, you always pick these really complicated subjects.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it might be better if you could kind of look for simpler scenes, or look for scenes with very strong light and dark contrast, because that's easier to simplify. There's actually a fair bit of detail on here, but you're just ignored it, and that was to your benefit. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Yeah, nice work. Good learning. I think everybody did that on some level. Shoot, what was I mixing? Yes. Oh yeah. Did anybody find a color that they really like working with today? Who liked working with the cool blue? It's kind of a beautiful color, isn't it?
I always like a cool blue.
Yeah, that's right. You do. You do. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I gotta hop off, but thank you, Leah. This was really great. I feel better about this one than my tulip.
I love it. I think you did wonderful. I think you did really good. We'll see you next time.
All right, bye.
Bye
I gotta
bye.
go too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Great work today.
Sorry.
Oh, I know what I think I need to do. Let's see.
Oh, the creatures are fed.
There we
All
go.
done.
Life is good again for them.
That's better. I'm gonna have to revisit tomorrow's assignment and see if it's not too hard. I might try
I
to
think I
find
might
something.
continue on my roster tomorrow.
Okay.
If I have
I'm gonna.
anything about
I
it.
should paint tomorrow. What am I? Wait, what time is class tomorrow on Friday? It's 9 or
11
11?
your time.
11 to 1.
Might be able to join. That might be a fun thing to do.
We'd love to have you join.
Go right on my calendar.
Europe is a really wonderful class. Super group of people.
Thanks to
Just
India.
like, yeah, and yes, Europe and India are a wonderful class. There's just super people there. I mean, just like you guys, super people, you know, like super people everywhere. But
It's a very nice mix of the class.
it is. I agree. And the
I think
weekend
it's
classes as
my
well.
favorite.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree with you, Sandra. It's neat what they're.
Okay, I think I'm just going to stop here. I'm going to take a picture of you. I don't think.
Okay. We might work on it. We might, send me a picture, Sandra. I might have some suggestions if you feel like working on it tomorrow. You might work on this while everybody else does something
I
else.
started on the chicken.
Oh
It
yeah,
doesn't-
start on the chicken.
It didn't look great, but it looks better than this.
Why does everything have to have a different power cord?
Just to make your life difficult, my sweet.
Really, it's like
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Well, let me send it the right way up because it's bad enough.
Let's see.
Well, I'll flip it.
Oh my God. I thought I was going to do this tonight. That is not happening. There's like a 20-page setup from my stupid computer,
Let's see.
which I can't even actually use for work, which is the most ironic thing.
Yeah, Sandra, these dark spots are too dark and too big still. So
Where?
the more you can in the background here, so back here.
Ah,
So
okay.
in the background here, the reason they're coming forward is because it's too strong.
They're too
So
dark.
everything should too dark and too big and too strong. So everything should be softened a little bit with white kind of wiped over the top. This is way better than you think it is, though. It
Okay.
still reads very beautifully. So if you feel like you want to work on it tomorrow, I'll be happy to help you with it tomorrow.
I'm just
Just
going to
sit on
fix
it
that.
for the night and then
I
don't
think I
just
wanna
throw it
look at
away yet. Now, come on. It's better than you think it is. It's way better than you think it is.
Maybe I'll look at it from far away.
Look at it from far away. You'll like it. That's kind of what happens when we, yeah. I mean, I know I could keep working on this for a while.
Sandra, you have that orange coming through really nicely.
Yeah, honestly, the front mountain is great. The dark side of the back mountain, that dark mountain is great. Let's see. Oops. Did you see the Rue died today? Ellen Wilhurst. Jean, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's good.
I made a wash of a very light, the light blue that I did for the sky.
Uh-huh.
Because it's all very misty looking. And so I put it over a lot of the dark.
I love it. I love it. God, great. So, so one thing I wanted to show you, Sandra, if you look at Jean's piece here, it's hard to see, so you'll have to look at it, that this light, look at how this light edge in the front is very strong, and that the light edges in the back are grayer. Can you see that?
Okay.
So that's how you want to push this edge forward and the mountains back. That is that working with that edge. So you have done the opposite, right? With these little dark marks, you've actually done the opposite. So you want to get rid of those dark marks. Look at Jean's light edge and then this sort of gray background. Jesus, Jean, that is just phenomenal.
Thank you.
Phenomenal. Are you pleased?
Yeah, I kind of am.
It's really great. Save this one for the student show. It's a good one. Oh, you guys, so proud of you, honestly. All right.
I've just toned it down. Let me know if it's not enough.
Yeah, send it over. Really, so great. Oh, it's much better. So now what you want is a light, it's a light edge that defines this mountain in the front, and grayer edges that define
it. At the top there, at the top wants to be very white.
Yep. And that's the very top needs to be the whitest, and then everything above that line is darker. It's grayer. Try it now, since you're here, since we're doing it.
I'm doing it now.
I'm actually, after seeing Jean's, and feel inspired to do it even more here. So she's ready to go out and paint on location, Jessica.
I know. Jean, you're gonna do great. Don't worry about it.
You're gonna have to learn, Jessica. You're gonna have to paint one-handed because I'm gonna be holding the other one.
Well, I will give you a security paper towel. You're gonna be fine, Jean. Don't worry about it.
She's also going to feed you chocolate and wine. Oh no, you can't do that because you're not going to be outside.
I'm not going to do that in the church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can drink some holy water.
Oh my!
You know what? I didn't touch that stuff during non-COVID time.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be worrisome? Oh my God!
I find those baths of holy water very disturbing. Just because everybody touches it and they put their hands in. It's like using a communal sink. Ugh.
I think our worst was like at Easter, we got all these stories from Eastern Europe where the patriarchs, I think they use the same spoon to give
oh no, and they all got
give a sacrament. Yeah.
Oh shit. God.
Yeah, let's all drink out of the same cup for communion. No.
Oh.
I think you have to be Catholic to take communion. So I'm not allowed.
What do you?
I'm okay with that.
What do you practice?
I practice being a good human being. And love and compassion for all things.
Okay, Leah, I did that.
See, I'm still, if it makes you feel better, Sandra, I'm still working that area myself. So hang on. All right, let me take a look. Yeah, much getting there. Absolutely.
I had forgotten to do the sky, so I did the sky. The sky was yellow still.
Yep. And so look at this back area here. Here, I'm going to point to it on the source. So as I did, and I instructed you, you blocked out these white areas, but look, they're more like triangles and they've got little bits of dark sprinkled through them. So now doing a little bit of reshaping here to shape these is going to really help also create depth in your mountains. So look at these edges. There's a little scoop of dark that's kind of in here. It's a little bit more, it's not a solid white. It's like more like a triangle. And there's little bits of dark in here. So try and get a little bit more of, focus on that detail. Yep. Oh. There we go.
All right, guys, I'm going to take off. Jessica,
Great
do
work.
you have my number?
I do have your number. I'll call you.
Oh, right, you do. We've spoken.
Okay, or we can text, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be in touch. We'll figure it out. You're gonna do great.
Okay.
It's gonna be fun. All
And
right.
Jean, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. All right.
I think I'm
And
gonna
Jessica,
pop in too.
come in tomorrow.
Yeah, if I don't have a meeting, I will. I wrote it on my calendar, so I'll see it and hopefully
Awesome. Wow. Somebody's doorbell. All right.
Oh, that's my phone, Leah. If you want the mental health feedback, I feel much better that I did a painting today.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
So thanks.
And that was a beautiful little painting you did.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. I like yours. Yours is coming out pretty nice.
It's coming along. It's coming along. I was working this edge a little bit to sort of push things forward, reshape. Yep. Just takes time.
Yeah.
More time than we have. Anyway. All right, guys.
I've decided mine is the ocean instead of mountains.
Let's see.
Okay. I lost a lot of depth for some reason. I think it's the color problem.